Look around you right now, at work, in your social circle, even inside your own family. There is always someone who seems to get what they want without fighting for it, without begging for it, without even appearing to try for it. They just win. And the strange part? They are not always the smartest person in the room. They are not always the most talented. They are not always the most hard-working. But they understand something. They understand how people actually work. Good people get played. Not because they are foolish, not because they are naive, not because they lack intelligence or strength, but because they carry an assumption, a quiet, invisible assumption that most good people never even realize they have. The assumption that everyone around them is operating by the same rules, that if you are fair, others will be fair, that if you are honest, others will be honest, that if you extend trust, trust will be extended back. And most of the time, in small, safe, low-stakes situations, that assumption works fine. But the moment something real is on the line, a position someone else also wants, that assumption becomes the most expensive thing you own. Because while you are busy being fair, someone else is being strategic. While you are waiting for things to balance out, someone else is making sure they never do. While you are giving the benefit of the doubt, someone else is deciding exactly how far that doubt will take them. This is not a new problem. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli was living inside one of the most politically brutal environments in human history. Renaissance Italy, where alliances collapsed overnight, where loyalty was a performance, where the person smiling at you across the table was often the same person planning your removal before dinner ended. Machiavelli did not survive that world by being the most virtuous man in the room. He survived it by being the most aware, and he wrote it all down. Not to teach people how to become evil. That is the lazy reading. That is what people say when the truth makes them uncomfortable. What he actually wrote was far more useful than a guide to evil. He wrote a guide to reality, to how power actually moves, to how influence actually forms, to how people actually behave when something valuable is sitting on the table and nobody is watching closely. In the next few minutes, you will hear 7 things Machiavelli understood about human psychology that most people discover too late. After the loss, after the damage, after they have already spent years wondering why good intentions kept producing bad outcomes. These are not motivational quotes. They are not feel-good principles designed to make you nod along and forget by tomorrow. They are sharp, they are uncomfortable at times, and they will change how you read every room you walk into. If you are ready, drop this in the comments right now. I see the game. Number 1. Good people are the easiest targets. The people who get targeted most in competitive environments are not the weak ones. They are not the stupid ones. They are not the ones who lack confidence or skill. They are the good ones, the consistent ones, the fair ones, the ones who treat everyone the same way regardless of who is watching. And that consistency, that goodness, is exactly what makes them easy. When you are a genuinely good person, you carry a set of invisible expectations with you everywhere you go. You expect that people will tell you the truth. You expect that agreements will be honored. You expect that if you treat someone with respect, they will eventually return it. Those expectations are not weaknesses in your character. They are weapons in someone else's hand. Because the moment someone figures out that you carry those expectations, that you will give the benefit of the doubt, that you will hesitate before pushing back, that you will choose harmony over confrontation whenever possible, they know exactly how to operate around you. They do not need to be stronger than you. They do not need to be smarter than you. They only need to understand you better than you understand them. Machiavelli saw this everywhere. Dirty players do not attack strength. They attack patterns. They watch who pauses before responding. They watch who gets uncomfortable when silence stretches too long. They watch who rushes to smooth things over when tension rises. They watch, they map, and then they move. And they move slowly, carefully, in small steps that each feel tolerable in isolation. A small delay here, a slightly shifted version of the truth there, a quiet repositioning of blame that nobody notices until it has already settled. Each step is small enough that confronting it feels excessive. Reacting to it feels paranoid. Naming it out loud feels dramatic. So the good person says nothing, adjusts, extends more benefit of the doubt, and the other side takes note. The good person's restraint was not weakness, but it was read as permission. Machiavelli understood that morality without awareness is not virtue in hostile environments. It is exposure. When someone can calculate exactly how you will respond, how long you will tolerate something before you address it, how many times you will forgive before you draw a line, they do not need to guess anymore. They schedule. The solution is not cruelty. The solution is not becoming someone who trusts no one and expects the worst from everyone. The solution is simpler and quieter than that. Stop being readable. Not to everyone. Not forever. But stop handing out the complete map of yourself to people who have not earned the right to hold it. You do not owe your thresholds to people who are measuring them. You do not owe your patterns to people who are studying them. You do not owe your predictability to people who profit from it. The moment you stop being completely legible, the moment there is something about you that others cannot fully calculate, the dynamic shifts. Not because you became harder, because you became unknown. And unknown people are genuinely difficult to move. Drop this in the comments. I move with awareness. Number 2, weakness that is chosen is not weakness at all. This is the principle that sounds the most wrong before it makes the most sense. Machiavelli observed something about raw, visible strength that nobody who relies on it wants to hear. Visible strength puts people on guard. The moment you walk into a room showing everything you know, everything you can do, and exactly how aware you are of what is happening, people close. They become careful. They protect their angles. They share less. They reveal nothing they did not plan to reveal. But when someone underestimates you, they open. They talk more freely than they intended. They make decisions faster than they should. They reveal priorities they normally keep hidden. They show you exactly how they think when they feel like they are the smarter person in the conversation. And all of that, every piece of it, is information. This is what Machiavelli called controlled weakness. And it is one of the sharpest tools available to anyone navigating a world full of people performing their own versions of strength. Controlled weakness is not pretending to be incompetent. It is choosing when not to show what you know. It is deciding when not to correct an assumption. It is understanding that sometimes the most powerful move is letting someone believe they have the upper hand, while you quietly gather everything you need. The impatient person gives themselves away immediately. They cannot resist showing competence. They cannot sit with the temporary discomfort of being underestimated. Their ego demands recognition before the right moment arrives. The patient person understands that early recognition closes doors, and closed doors stop the flow of information. When someone believes they are ahead of you, when they feel safe, in control, and certain that they have correctly assessed who they are dealing with, they stop being careful. They rush. They over-explain. They make offers they would never make if they felt the balance was equal. They say things that reveal far more than they meant to share, and you receive all of it, quietly, without a single aggressive move. Machiavelli never advised constant strength. He advised selective display, the right amount of capability shown to the right person at the right moment, with everything else held back until it matters. That variation, that deliberate unpredictability in how much of yourself you surface, makes you genuinely difficult to plan around. Without a stable picture of you to build against, other people's strategies become guesswork, and guesswork is a losing position. Number 3, every time you explain yourself, you lose a little ground. This one will feel wrong, because everything we are taught about communication, about relationships, about being a good person, tells us that explaining ourselves builds understanding. That clarity creates trust. That the more open you are about your reasoning, the more people will respect your decisions. And sometimes that is true. But Machiavelli saw the other side of this. Every explanation is a transaction, and the moment you start explaining, justifying a choice, defending a position, walking someone through your reasoning step by step, you shift from acting to seeking approval, seeking understanding, seeking the validation that your explanation was sufficient, that your reasoning was acceptable, that you are now allowed to proceed. You put the other person in the position of judge. You handed them the gavel. You did not realize it, but you did. And dirty players know exactly what to do the moment they are handed a gavel. They do not rush to use it. They wait. They ask one more question. They express mild confusion about one specific detail. They furrow their brow at just the right moment, not to understand better, to make you explain more, because every additional explanation gives them more material, more angles, more moments of emotional language they can reframe, more inconsistencies, however small, they can hold and use later. What you thought was a conversation is a collection process. They are not listening to understand you. They are listening to know you, and knowing you, knowing what you reach for when you feel misunderstood, knowing what language you use when you feel defensive, knowing which parts of your reasoning you stumble over, is leverage. Machiavelli understood that real authority doesn't explain itself to every audience. It announces, it decides, it moves, not out of arrogance, but out of understanding that constant explanation signals something more revealing than any explanation itself could. It signals that you need agreement before you can proceed. And in any environment where agreement is being withheld strategically, used as a tool to keep you talking and revealing, every sentence you add is another door open to a room you did not mean to share. Learn the difference between explaining and communicating. Explaining is what you do when you are seeking permission. Communicating is what you do when you are sharing information that serves a purpose. Not every decision deserves a defense. Not every choice requires a walkthrough. Not every silence that follows your action needs to be filled with justification. Some of your most powerful moments will be the ones where you said nothing at all. And let the outcome speak for itself. Drop this in the comments. I don't explain myself to everyone. Number 4, they never attack you directly. They position you. This is the one that explains the most confusing losses. The times when you did everything right, stayed calm, acted professionally, handled things exactly the way you were supposed to, and still ended up on the wrong side of the room's perception. You were not attacked, you were positioned. Machiavelli understood that direct attacks are sloppy, they are visible, they create sympathy for the target and expose the attacker. Anyone operating with real understanding of influence does not attack directly. They arrange context. They choose timing. They select the audience. They place small pieces of information in front of the right people at the right moment. Then they step back and let human psychology do the rest. You do not need to call someone unreliable in front of their boss. You only need to casually mention their delays, framed as concern, at the exact moment their boss was already mildly frustrated. You do not need to make someone look emotional. You only need to stay visibly calm every time they are visibly stressed and let the contrast speak. You do not need to publicly question someone's competence. You only need to make sure their mistakes land in front of the right audience while their successes happen when nobody important is watching. None of this looks like an attack. None of it can be easily named or confronted. And that is precisely the point. Machiavelli observed that the most effective moves in any political or social environment are the ones that cannot be responded to directly, because naming them out loud makes you appear paranoid, dramatic, or difficult, which conveniently confirms the exact narrative being constructed around you. The person defending themselves against invisible positioning always ends up looking like the problem. So, what do you do? First, you recognize it. That is already most of the work. Once you see that you are inside an arranged environment rather than a neutral one, you stop responding to individual pieces and start looking at the structure. Who is always nearby when things go sideways? Who benefits when you appear a certain way? Whose composure is consistently on display right at the moments yours is being tested? Second, you stop performing the role that was written for you. Every positioning strategy depends on you playing your assigned part, the reactive one, the defensive one, the emotional one. The moment you refuse that role, the moment you receive the pressure without the expected output, the design weakens. A frame without a reaction to feed it cannot sustain itself. Stay still. Observe the architecture, and when you move, move structurally. Not against the specific argument, but around the entire environment it was built inside. Drop this in the comments. I choose position. Number 5. Fairness is a trap. Machiavelli was not against fairness. He was honest about when it works and when it does not. Fairness works beautifully inside a shared agreement. When both sides genuinely intend to honor the same standard, fairness is not just morally correct, it is strategically efficient. It reduces friction. It builds trust. It produces outcomes neither side could have produced alone. But the moment one side quietly stops honoring that agreement, while the other side keeps faithfully applying it, fairness stops being a shared principle. It becomes a one-sided disadvantage. This is the trap, and most good people fall into it not because they are foolish, but because they are loyal. Loyal to the standard. Loyal to the belief that if they keep holding their side of the agreement, the other side will eventually return to theirs. Dirty players know this about good people. They know that good people hesitate to escalate. They know that good people fear appearing excessive. They know that good people are more worried about being perceived as unfair than about being quietly, consistently disadvantaged. So they keep going. A little further each time, testing whether this next step also passes without consequence. And when it does, when restraint is once again mistaken for patience, when fairness is once again mistaken for permission, they take one more step. Machiavelli put it plainly: justice without enforcement is not justice, it is decoration. It communicates values, it produces no consequence. And people who have decided that consequence is the only language worth listening to are entirely unmoved by decoration. Playing accurately is not the same as playing dirty. Accuracy means reading the environment as it actually is, not as you wish it were, and calibrating your responses to what is real rather than what is ideal. When someone operates outside the shared standard, accuracy does not insist on maintaining the standard unilaterally. It adjusts, not dramatically, not with visible aggression, not in a way that makes you the story, quietly, precisely, with exactly enough response to make clear that the behavior carries a cost. That cost changes calculations faster than any appeal to fairness ever will, because people who ignore principles respond to prices. Once the price exists, once certain behavior in your direction reliably produces an outcome that is not worth the effort, behavior changes. Not because the other person suddenly developed integrity, because the math changed. Stop waiting for the game to become fair. Start playing the game that is actually in front of you. Number 6. Slow down. Machiavelli watched impatience destroy positions that should never have been lost. He watched people hand away negotiating power simply because the silence became too heavy to sit with. He watched leaders make decisions under urgency that they would have never made under stillness. He watched smart people reveal every card they were holding, not because they were forced to, but because the pressure of waiting became more uncomfortable than the cost of speaking. And the people across the table from them, they said nothing. They simply waited and collected everything that the silence eventually produced. This is the weapon most people never use, not because they do not have access to it, because sitting in unresolved tension without rushing to resolve it requires something most people do not train: tolerance for uncertainty. Dirty players manufacture urgency. It is one of their most reliable tools. They push for quick answers. They create artificial deadlines. They frame things as though the window is closing, the moment is disappearing. The decision must be made right now, before you've had time to think, before the emotional weather has cleared, before you have gathered enough information to move from a position of actual clarity. Urgency benefits them. Stillness benefits you. When you delay, not forever, not as a game, but deliberately and with full awareness of why you are doing it, you break the rhythm they built the approach around. They pushed. You did not immediately respond. That alone changes the entire balance of the interaction, because now they are waiting. And waiting creates in them exactly the pressure they were trying to create in you. They start wondering whether they misjudged, whether they moved too early, whether you are more composed than they assumed, whether they are the one losing ground right now. The silence you held, without explanation, without apology, without filling it to relieve your own discomfort, became active. It did something to them without requiring anything from you, and the information that emerges during that interval, the follow-up that reveals how invested they actually are, the tone shift that shows you they need resolution more than they showed, is intelligence you now hold. Respond when you are ready, not when the pressure tells you to. Those two timelines are almost never the same, and the gap between them is where outcomes are actually decided. Drop this in the comments. I control the pace. Number 7. Make yourself expensive. Machiavelli never promised harmony. He promised something more durable: position. The kind of position that does not collapse every time someone pushes against it. The kind of position that does not require constant defense, because the cost of attacking it is already understood to be high. And here is the truth most people resist. Position is not granted. It is not given because you deserve it. It is not awarded because your intentions are good or your character is solid. It is earned through consistent demonstration that certain behavior in your direction carries a real and reliable cost. Not a dramatic cost, not a punishing cost, just enough cost that the calculation changes. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote about power as environment rather than performance. Real power does not announce itself. Real power shapes the conditions of every interaction quietly, before the interaction even begins. It happens through what you consistently tolerate and what you consistently do not. It happens through where your attention flows and where it stops. It happens through the slow accumulation of moments where you chose precision over reaction and people around you noticed, without you ever saying a word about it. Dirty players operate where access is open. They invest energy where reactions are reliable. They come back to wells where water has always been available before. When the well stops being accessible, when reactions stop being predictable, when explanations stop being volunteered, when engagement stops being automatic, they do not fight for access. They redirect, because their system depends on return. No return means no reason to continue the investment. You become, without confrontation, without drama, without a single raised voice, too expensive to bother with. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about shutting people out or performing distance as a power move. It is about something quieter and more permanent. Becoming genuinely self-possessed. Knowing who you are clearly enough that someone else's commentary about it does not find purchase. Knowing what you value clearly enough that attempts to confuse your priorities simply bounce off. Knowing what you will and will not accept clearly enough that testing your limits stops feeling like a productive use of someone else's energy. When that clarity exists internally, when it is not a performance but a genuine settled state, it radiates outward in ways you do not have to manage consciously. People sense it before you open your mouth. They sense when limits are real and will be honored. They sense when engagement is chosen rather than compulsive. They sense when the person in front of them is not going to scramble under pressure or explain themselves into vulnerability. And people who sense that adjust their behavior accordingly, not because you demanded it, because the environment you carry around you, the one built from every small choice you made to be precise instead of reactive, patient instead of urgent, selective instead of endlessly available, made a certain kind of behavior toward you feel like more effort than it is worth. This is the final Machiavellian truth. Not domination, not victory in every single exchange. Elevation. Rising above the patterns that used to cost you, your energy, your composure, your position, because you now understand them clearly enough to step around them instead of into them. Position is freedom, and freedom is the only advantage that compounds. If they play smart, don't try to match their game. Matching their game keeps you inside their frame, inside their rules, inside their timing, and you will always be slower in a game someone else designed. Everything you heard in this video comes back to one thing: not power over other people, power over yourself, power over your reactions, power over your timing, power over what you reveal, what you withhold, and where your energy actually goes. Because the moment you stop reacting on command, the moment you stop filling every silence with words they can use against you, the moment you stop volunteering your limits to people who are measuring them, something shifts. Not dramatically, not overnight, but people around you start being more careful, not because you threatened anyone, but because they can no longer fully read you. And unreadable people are expensive to deal with. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to correct every false impression. You do not need to fight for your position loudly. You only need to hold it quietly, consistently, long enough for the people watching to understand this one does not move easily. Remember, You do not become powerful by adding noise. You become powerful by removing predictability. Like this video so it reaches the people who need awareness, not just motivation. Share it with someone who keeps getting played without understanding why. And subscribe, because the next videos go deeper into the psychology of power, influence, and the kind of mental sharpness that changes outcomes quietly. Tell me in the comments which of the 7 hit the hardest for you. And remember, you do not win by becoming louder than the people trying to use you. You win by becoming someone they cannot figure out. Stay sharp, stay aware, and never play a game you do not understand.